Hello everyone, Zuriel here, and this is my quick review of Shadowrun Returns. A lot of people are looking forward to this game, not just because it's based on a very popular pen and paper RPG series, not just because it's got very classical turn-based strategic combat, it's very narrative driven like Baldur's Gate or Planescape Torment, but also because the game comes with an editor. Now the editor has the same tools that Harebrained Schemes use to make the main campaign. So while you're playing the campaign, if you see any art or scripting sort of behavior that you think is cool, you can put that in your own adventures. Now if you're playing the game on Steam, you're connected to the Steam Workshop, and it's very easy to upload your adventures or download ones that other people have made. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the campaign and the writing and the combat, but really keep in mind that the main story really serves as a way to showcase what the editor can do. Now, if you're not familiar with the Shadowrun setting, it is basically high fantasy and cyberpunk mashed together. Pretty much mages and hackers living together, mass hysteria. As the player, you take on the role of a Shadowrunner, someone who's hired by megacorporations and shady individuals to do jobs they don't want anyone finding out about. You may be hired to kidnap someone, or steal some financial data, maybe just crack some heads open. The idea is that you might not really be a hero in this game, you might just be a criminal. But that's not really your problem. You've got jobs to do, and you gotta get paid. How you can approach a mission is largely determined by your skills. Now, character progression and creation is based on a point-buy system. This means that if you want to be really good at shooting guns, just put points into guns. But if you want to be a mage who shoots guns, you can do that. If you want to be a hacker who can summon elementals, you can do that too. There are archetypes in the game, but they don't really mean anything because you can kind of spread your skills around however you want. As in other classical RPGs, your skills affect more than combat, they affect how you interact with the world. If you have high charisma, maybe you can talk your way past a guard instead of having to shoot your way through him. If you're a decker, which is Shadowrun's version of hacking, maybe you can hack your way into an access point, take control of those turrets that are trying to shred your teammate. Of course, nobody's good at everything, so before you go on a run, you are usually able to hire up to 3 other teammates. These guys aren't really helpful outside of combat. They can't talk to NPCs with social skills, and they can't really help you solve puzzles, but it makes sense. You're the protagonist, you get to call the shots. Generally, you can hire whoever you want for your team, but sometimes there are specific story-important characters that you have to bring with. Again, this is kind of teaching you how the editor functions. You can build adventures where who you bring with is a big part of the story, or you can go on adventures where you smash everything and the random jerks who are along for the ride, they don't really matter. When you do get into combat, it's very similar to XCOM and other strategy RPGs. Targeting enemies gets you a percentage chance to hit them, whether you're using matrix hacking abilities, spells, or guns. There is a cover mechanic, and of course line of sight to enemies is very important, and sometimes these two things didn't really seem to work the way you would expect them to. Once you get used to it, it's not a big problem, but until then, it's a little bit annoying. Generally, your team gets 1 turn to use their actions and try to kill the bad guys, and then the bad guys get to use their actions to try to kill you. One exception to this is when you have somebody jacked into the Matrix. While inside, the idea is that you're moving at the speed of thought, so you get 3 turns to do whatever you want. And then everybody outside the Matrix gets 1 turn, and then the round is over. Another interesting skill is rigging. This lets you have a couple of drones that follow you around that can shoot bad guys, and you can send them to scout ahead by going through vents. You can also use them in this way to set up a sort of ambush. As a shaman, you can summon spirits. At the beginning of each turn, you give these spirits a certain amount of action points, but the more you give them, the higher the chance they'll break free. This chance gets greater with every progressing turn, and when they finally do break free, if combat's not over, they'll turn around and start punching you in the face or lighting you on fire. I found this to be one of the more interesting combat mechanics because it definitely has a pretty cool risk versus reward factor. These feel like pretty accurate representations of how those skills work in the pen and paper RPG, which is pretty cool. One of the game's bigger flaws is that it often feels like some of the skills are just not really useful from moment to moment. I know that the last mission, my decker felt like he was pretty much useless because there was nothing to deck into. One reason for this is that the campaign isn't super long. It's maybe 10 or 12 hours, and that's probably if you investigate everything pretty thoroughly. The other major criticism for the game is that there are no manual saves. Autosaves all the way. Just checkpoints. That's all you get. It didn't happen often, but there were definitely times when I, playing on normal difficulty, hit a rough spot in combat and had to replay the last 15 minutes. Now, my character didn't always feel like his skills were useless, and I didn't always have big annoyances with the save system, but you may find them to be bigger issues, especially if you're playing on hard difficulty. While the campaign wasn't perfect, it was a lot of fun. If you're a Shadowrun fan, there's a lot to like here. It's all 100% canon, and if you were a fan of the SNES game, you might find a couple of recurring characters. The even better news is that if there's something about the campaign you don't like, you can make your own modules and fix those problems. If you think that every mission should have a decking option, you can do that. If you think that there should be autosaves after every fight, you can set the maps up that way. And that's really what's awesome about this game. It's like buying an RPG sourcebook. It comes with an adventure that's pretty fun, but it gives you the tools to make your own adventures and to download ones that other people from the community have made. Harebrained Schemes has posted several YouTube videos showing how to make maps or set up scripting events, and several community members have created videos showing how to do stuff that's not even in the main campaign. Shadowrun Returns got a lot of press because it was one of the first heavily funded Kickstarter games to come out, but I think within a couple of years the real story will be that it's a game made by fans. While the editor isn't as easy to use as just sitting down with your friends and drawing squares on graphing paper, it is pretty user-friendly. This, combined with decades of lore and lots of enthusiastic fans, means that there's plenty of opportunities for great adventures and hundreds of hours of gameplay. Time will tell how many quality modules get posted on Steam, but I'm pretty optimistic. So if you're looking for a fun tactical RPG with good writing, plenty of room to grow, that's only $20, head over to Steam. If you enjoyed this video and want to see reviews for modules as they come out, hit subscribe. Thanks for watching, and have fun.